Hi, and welcome to this video, which I'm calling Patriarchy, Feminism, and Genesis 2. My name is Michael Venema, and this is the fifth in a series, which I call Beginnings. And in the series, we are looking at the first chapters of the Bible. I think in these first chapters, a lot is brought forward that has an impact on almost everything. A few years ago, Jordan Peterson recorded a series of videos called The Psychological Significance of the Bible, and sometime pretty soon I might say a few words about that series. But I think that the Bible is, especially these first chapters, are important. They're significant for politics. They're significant for economics, for society in general, for gender issues, for the development of knowledge and science and technology. So I think the Bible, if it's understood well, emerges as an incredibly significant body of material, and you can easily kind of appreciate, once you begin to explore it on that level, why it has been the most significant text in the development of the Western world, and why it continues to have not just a lot of residual impact, but a lot of direct impact in many societies, and why its impact continues to grow around the planet. So yes, today, Patriarchy, Feminism, and Genesis 2. So in the first four videos in this series, we've been looking at Genesis 1 and 2. And if you haven't seen them, please take a look. And by the way, you'll notice when you look at the other videos that things are changing a little bit in the way things look on the videos. I've ordered in some proper video and audio gear, so that should be coming pretty soon. So things will look a little different, but I think hopefully that'll be not a distraction from, but a complementary to the content. So I'm going to read the last bit of the second creation story. In the first one, it starts off very chaotic. God speaks, and things begin to be properly ordered. By the end of the first creation account, things are ordered properly. The arrangement of the world is a welcome place for all kinds of life, especially human life. And then God rests and he celebrates. And in the second creation account, it's kind of covering the same territory, but using a whole different set of images and pictures, which reveal another set of important aspects of what it is to be human, what our world is like, and what God is like. So this is how these last few verses of Genesis 2, second chapter of Genesis, go. And by the way, I'm using a version of the Bible called The Message. It's put together by Eugene Peterson. And Peterson, I think, has done a very nice job in capturing the dynamic quality of the Bible, and also capturing the sense in which it would have been very engaging for the original readers and the original hearers. So here's the end of the second creation account. God said, "It's not good for the man to be alone." So Adam is there, the first human, but he's single. And God says, "I'll make him a helper, a companion." So God formed from the dirt of the ground all the animals of the field and all the birds of the air. He brought them to the man to see what he would name them. Whatever the man called each living creature, that was its name. The man named the cattle, named the birds of the air, named all the wild animals, but he didn't find a suitable companion. God put the man into a deep sleep, and as he slept, God removed one of his ribs and replaced it with flesh. God then used the rib that he had taken from the man to make woman and presented her to the man. The man said, "Finally, bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh, name her woman, for she was made from man. Therefore, a man leaves his father and mother and embraces his wife. They become one flesh. The two of them, the man and his wife, were naked, but they felt no shame." Well, there's quite a bit going on here, but you probably picked up at the very beginning of these verses that there's a problem, and God says it's not good, for Adam, for the man to be alone. So the rest of it is the resolution of this problem, and so God forms from the dirt all kinds of animals, and he brings them to the man, and the man names each one. And at the end of this process, still, no companion for the man has been found. So I don't think it's reading too much into it, but you can kind of, get a sense of, I know quite the right word is poignancy or something like that. But Adam's named all these creatures. They've all been partnered or allowed to have whatever arrangements they need in order to procreate and so forth. But for Adam, no such possibility has yet emerged. And so God forms a woman from one of Adam's ribs and presents the woman to the man. And again, I don't want to be reading too much into it, but I think the kind of sense is, well, here, Adam, look, what do you think of this? Something I thought you might like. And Adam does, and he breaks into what I call the first love song. Finally, bone of my bone, and flesh of my flesh, name her woman, for she was made from man. It's been a long time since I was a student and would have been looking at this in the original language, which is Hebrew. But if I remember correctly, it's very structured, and as many parts of the Bible are, chapter 1 also. But to me, this is kind of the first love poem, the first love song, and then a little epilogue, a little final note, and therefore a man leaves his parents and embraces his wife. They become one flesh. So a lot of implications there in terms of marriage and family and community and populating the world and so forth. And the two of them, a man and his wife, were naked, but they felt no shame. They were totally comfortable with each other. Now, you can see how the opening problem has been resolved. Adam now has a partner, and he's named her, and they are one. Now, there's a couple things I want to bring out in this passage, from this passage and from the chapter actually. Tiny bit of background. In chapter 1, God is the creator. He's also the orderer of the creation. He speaks and chaos becomes orderly and a proper place to live. And he also celebrates. At the end of the creation, he rests on the seventh day, takes a look around. He's very happy with it all. And the sense is there that he's celebrating. I think in chapter 2, people emerge in a parallel way. So there's a line earlier on in chapter 2 where it talks about there not being anything growing. Why? Because no man had come along yet to till the ground. So the sense is that humans are co-creators with God. We are needed so that the creation will bring forth its abundance and its blessings. And you might say that we can see that all around us all the time. If you live in an area where there's farming and agriculture, or where there are factories and that kind of thing, human beings are creating things all the time and bringing forward the potential of God's creation for good in terms of food and material things. The second thing is that in chapter 2, Adam gives order to the animal world. So human beings are not only co-creators, but we are also co-orderers with God. And the third thing I want to notice is that just like at the end of the first creation account, God celebrates. At the end of the second creation account, Adam celebrates. So we are co-creators, co-orderers, and co-celebrants with God, which is a very rich way to think about yourself and to think about the people who you rub shoulders with every day and the people all over the planet. In the first creation story, there are a number of other terrific purposes for which we are alive, but in the second creation account, there are three other very, very powerful, motifs in terms of what it means to be a human being. Now, I want to say a few things about this chapter, maybe the first chapter also, in relation to areas of concern that people have today, and that's around women's issues, feminist studies, and around the critique, that there's a lot of patriarchy in the world. Well, often the Bible is criticized as being very patriarchal, and definitely if you were wanting to read the Bible for lots of fuel for the idea of patriarchy, you're not going to be disappointed. The Bible was probably all written by men. It's men who are, taking the leadership in most situations in the Bible. And there's other reasons. God is typically seen in terms of male. So there are these male favoring themes and strands, currents that run through the Bible. And as I say, if one wanted to justify patriarchy on the basis of a number of motifs in the Bible, they are there, and they can be used for that reason. But I think that yes, there is a sense in which there is patriarchy in the Bible, but as far as I can tell, it's a very poorly enforced patriarchy. The patriarchy of the Bible is very poorly enforced, and you could even say it is not very well founded. So the second item first, in terms of the founding of a patriarchal sensibility about everything, in the first creation story, God says, let's make people in God's image, male and female. God created them. So the idea is that male and female are created in God's image. So all persons, no matter what their sex or gender, we are all created in God's image. And in the first creation account, maleness and femaleness are not presented in a hierarchical fashion, but both of them are grounded in God. And so we whatever our sex or gender, we are created in God's image. And then the way the Bible unfolds after that, there is themes of patriarchy that emerge. But again, I would say it is a poorly enforced patriarchy. Even in what we just read, one could say, well, the woman is derived from the man. Well, yes, she comes from the rib of the man, but is the point of the story that the woman is therefore, in some sense, less than or under the man? I have a hunch that the point of the story is that the woman is a suitable companion on an equal ground with the man, and not subservient, if I can put it that way. Also, in terms of what I call the poor enforcement of patriarchy in the Bible, is that there are a number of women in the Bible, especially in the New Testament, who emerge as very significant and sometimes as leaders. There is Deborah in the Old Testament, who is one of the leaders of the nation of Israel when it was really in a calamitous state, but she helped do some good things there. And there's Jael, Jael in our English renderings, Jael, and she was quite something. She had an enemy leader take a nap in her tent, and while he was sleeping, she drove a tent peg through his head, and that was the end of his oppressing the Israelite people. And Jesus himself spends a lot of time teaching women, and seems to go out of his way to meet some of them. And then later on, the post-Jesus parts of the Bible, women emerge as leaders, as speakers of God's word, prophets, prophetesses, they're called. And in one of the passages in the post-Jesus part of the Bible, the New Testament, it talks about how God's visions will come not just to men, but also to women and girls. So I think that again the patriarchal sense in the Bible is there, but it's not very strongly enforced, and I think it's very hard on the basis of the Bible to justify silencing women or hiding them in any way, or preventing women in any way from enjoying all of the different roles and potentialities that typically men have enjoyed or enjoy. So, and then there's a last thing, and this goes back to my student days, but I recall looking at the last book of the Bible, which is called Revelation, and if I remember correctly, there also the notions of gender with respect to God are displaced, and God is, God emerges as God, and not particularly a gendered God. So for all these reasons, I think that, and there are others also, but I think that whatever kind of patriarchy is in the Bible, it is highly qualified. It is not well enforced, and doesn't very easily justify denigrating women in any way. In fact, exactly the opposite. I think it opens the doors for women to enjoy anything that men typically enjoy. And on the other hand, it also opens the doors for men to enjoy and participate in the things that we typically think women enjoy and participate in, which is, being at home and child rearing and all these kinds of things. Maybe a little bit more about that some other time. So maybe that's been helpful. So this is where I want to leave chapter 1 and 2, the first two creation accounts of Genesis. Things look really fantastic at this point, but in chapter 3, things take a terrible turn for the worse. And by the time chapter 4 rolls around, we have the first murder. So something has gone wrong, which maybe parallels our experience of the world also. We discover quite soon in life that things are not as they should be. So let's take a look at chapter 3 next time. Thanks for plugging in. I truly appreciate it. Please subscribe. Please like, please share. These are sort of my early days in terms of YouTube and being available in this way. But I truly appreciate your being part of that journey with me. And see you next week. Okay, bye-bye.